I want to create a YouTube video every single day for the next 365 days to give people a realistic insight into what it's like living as a 7-figure entrepreneur. Obviously, you're the YouTube. That's why you don't look away when you're making coffee. Crazy. Try again. So this is why I think morning routines are in general a load of bullshit. I think that people do morning routines to distract themselves from doing the actual hard shit that they need to do and the shit that they don't want to do. So I think people will use morning routines as like to just keep delaying it. I think it's that mindset of like, oh, I'll do it later. So like people just build up these extensive, crazy morning routines to just distract themselves from doing the actual important stuff that's actually going to get them far. Like legit, my morning routine is literally wake up whenever I want. Like I don't set alarms, I don't do any of that shit. I go to bed when I feel like it, I wake up when I feel like it. Doesn't matter if I wake up at 4 p.m. Like my sleeping pattern throughout the year is never the same. It's random all the time. Like for example, last week, I was roughly waking up at around 5, 6 a.m. Today, I woke up at like 3 p.m. And I went to bed at like 8 a.m., right? So mine's always changing and always turning. Like I'm doing a full cycle all the time just because like, if some nights I feel like working for an extra 3 hours, I would rather just do that because I feel more energy and I feel like I'm stacking more wins. Whereas like I feel like a lot of people set specific times and specific routines, and I don't like that. The reason why I wanted to become an entrepreneur was to be completely free and to not be tied down by structure and routines. That's like what I despise the most. So I would prefer to just live on my own terms completely and utterly and not do anything I don't want to do, because that's where I start to get off the path and start to procrastinate and start to have negative self-talk. So I would just rather like do what I want, do the shit that matters, and that's what I do. So like literally my morning routine is wake up whenever I want once I've had enough sleep, because sleep is 100% after everything I've tried all the morning routines. There's nothing better than just getting a good night's sleep. Like I have to get realistically 8 hours to operate well. Like 7 to 8 hours works for me. I can't operate, and I can operate, but not well under any less. So like 8 hours is optimal for me. Sometimes 9 hours I'll need. I just listen to my body completely and utterly, right? If I need 11 hours, I'll sleep 11 hours, right? So my morning routine is literally wake up when I feel fucking re-energized, replenished, come straight downstairs. First thing I do, come straight downstairs, with my dressing gown, make a coffee. Once I've made a coffee, I will literally go and sit at my laptop and cut that time horizon of work as soon as I can. So I'll drink the coffee, I'll get to work, I'll work then for as long as I can, completely fasted, until I start to feel like I'm slacking and not focusing as much. Then I'll go and make another coffee and then have something to eat potentially if I feel like it, and then go back to work. And then unless I've got other stuff planned where I need to go out and I need to do something or I need to network, then I'll do that. But otherwise, I will literally just work. And so that's what I've done. Like, yeah, and realistically as well, like the last 2 weeks, I've really not done anything at all. I pretty much had a 2-week break. Like I moved into this new place, and I literally just had like a 2-week break, and no joke, I just feel like it was something I needed to like reset. And I literally just played like games and did nothing for 2 weeks. Like literally moved in, was spending a ton of money buying furniture, building furniture, like almost like therapy. Just played a ton of games, didn't really put any focus on the work whatsoever, kind of just neglected everything for 2 weeks just because I can. And now we're back in Jan 1st, we're locked in and more energetic than ever to go and change lives, impact the world, make more money than I know what to do with. And that's like where I'm at. And yeah, and I'm trying a new trend with the mic. I see people wear mics on their hats. I'm going to wear on the side of my hoodie, so why not? So yeah, we're just going to make a coffee, and then pretty much we're going to make a coffee and then just go straight back to work, and then I'll probably go and make food. Again, my sleeping pattern's fucked right now, so I'll be up late, but I might try and stay awake just to reset my sleeping pattern, because I'm not the biggest fan of waking up when it's dark. Like I woke up at like 3 p.m. and it was dark outside. Doesn't really fuck with me. So yeah, I don't want to feel like I'm in the bat cave 24/7. So that's like where I'm at. And yeah, I just think morning routines can be bullshit, and don't get distracted doing morning routines. Like, I think the faster you wake up and work is the better, and I think that's how you build better habits, and I think that's how you actually get more shit done, because you tend to have a lot more energy for like the first, once you're fully awake, like that's where you have the most energy, like those first 4 or 5 hours of the day. So just use that energy to work, because if you leave it and postpone it, by the time you get to work, you either dismiss it, I'll do it tomorrow, I can't be asked now today, I've had enough, I've done a crazy morning routine that lasted 5 hours, so I'll just do the rest tomorrow. It doesn't ever work. Tomorrow never comes. Whenever you catch yourself saying, I'll do it later, I'll do it tomorrow, it never comes. And if it does, you don't do it with the effort you could have done it, if you had just done it when you had said so, that would have been the best time to do it. So if you're ever in a point where you feel like, oh, I can't be asked to do this thing, just do it right there and then. Have a trigger in your mind where when that happens, that's exactly when you need to do it, right? That's how I like to operate and think. And don't get me wrong, everyone has days where it's like, oh, I can't be asked to do it, blah, 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 blah. But at the same time, like, you don't have to be perfect all the time. You don't have to be like Super Bowl ready all the time. But it's all about that self-talk you build. If you're constantly like saying you're going to do stuff and not doing it, you don't understand the impact that that's having on your mind, and that's how you burn out. So you want to start by doing little stuff, making your bed, stacking up these wins. I used to write winning streak on my hand, and just like everything I do, make a cup of coffee, boom, winning streak. Get to work as fast as possible after I've made the coffee, boom, winning streak. Like, make my bed, boom, winning streak. Like, just build up those wins, and then you can start building bigger wins, and you go from having a to-do list of 5 things to a to-do list of 40 things, right? So that's what I would do. And yeah, that's like pretty much it. But I'm going to make this coffee, get back to work. Hopefully you found some value in that. Obviously it depends where you're at, but me personally, I've tried all the morning routines, I've tried everything, the ice baths, I've tried grounding, I've tried breathing, I've tried every fucking thing. And while I think there's some benefits to some, my preferred morning routine is just to get up, make a cup of coffee, and then go to work as fast as I can after making that cup of coffee. And then just work until I feel like I'm losing focus. And that's just how I prefer to do it. I think if your morning routine is more than an hour, then you're an idiot, in my personal opinion. I don't think you really want to be an entrepreneur if your morning routine's over an hour, in my opinion. Because I think that's just a load of bullshit, and I think you're just distracting yourself. I think you can have a morning routine that's an hour that works, but anything more, in my personal opinion, is just a load of bullshit. And you just like the thought of being an entrepreneur rather than actually wanting to be an entrepreneur. And I think that's the difference. People think it's like this glam, lovely lifestyle, but in reality, it's super lonely. It takes a ton of work. And not only does it take a ton of work, but you need to be mentally strong in the sense of being willing to do stuff when you don't want to do it. So I think if you have a morning routine that's more than an hour long, then you don't really want to be an entrepreneur. You just like the idea of being an entrepreneur. And I also think that a lot of people think that they want to be a millionaire, but in reality, they don't actually want to be a millionaire because they don't want what comes with being a millionaire, and they don't want the problems that come with a millionaire, because as you start to make money, you just trade smaller problems for bigger problems, and you just trade problems that you got now for completely different high-class problems, right? But I think a lot of people think that they want to be a millionaire because it's an amazing idea and you can live this crazy lifestyle. In reality, as a millionaire, if you've got £1 million in the bank or £1 million net worth, you can't live this crazy lifestyle. But I don't even think that's what people want to be. I think people want to spend $1 million or £1 million rather than actually being a millionaire. I think people like the idea of spending £1 million rather than being a millionaire. So like when people, like normal people think, oh, I want to be a millionaire, that's all they're thinking in their head is, I could buy a Ferrari for 200K, I could buy a house and put 100K down on a mortgage, I could like go on this trip and I could do this and do that. And they're just thinking, how can I spend $1 million? Because that's going to make me happy. But guess what? If you won the lottery and got given $1 million, most people, that's the reason why 90% of lottery winners go broke or wherever that stat is because they just know how to spend the money, not actually use the money, and they don't respect money. So that's a couple of things there. I think that's an interesting insight that a lot of people don't actually want to be millionaires. They just want to spend $1 million. And you have to get out of that mindset because you have to play the long game. Like when I came into entrepreneurship, it was like, right, I'm going to do this thing for 5 years, 10 years, and expect no results whatsoever, and just get better and better every day. And as long as I do that over a long enough time horizon, I'll be good eventually. And I was just completely naive and completely delusionally optimistic that for some reason it would work out for me, and it just did. And that, yeah, but then people think I'm just a overnight success and I'm this young rich kid, but in reality it just took like 3 years of crazy amounts of work and mental battles and discipline and just a ton of shit, like external factors that doesn't happen to a lot of people, that I had to deal with and overcame it. Which is also why I have no sympathy for people that are like, oh, I've got an hard life, like this has happened to my family member, or my grandparents have died, and blah, 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 blah. Like, people don't even understand half the shit that I've been through in terms of like family life and all this sort of stuff. Like, it's crazy. Like, I spent Christmas alone this year. Like, literally stayed Christmas on my own, minding my sick dog. Like, it was literally just me in this big ass house on my own, minding my sick dog, like for like, again, like 2 hours sleep because my dog was super sick. And that's literally how I spent Christmas. So like, people think that, like, people must have thought like, oh, Dylan O'Evan must have this crazy Christmas, he must be like doing all this crazy stuff, like buying all these crazy gifts and blah blah blah. In reality, like, no, I literally spent Christmas Day on my own all day, minding my sick dog that passed away on the 27th. So like, Christmas was not good for me, right? Am I letting it eat me up? No. Am I absolutely fucking distraught that like my best friend in the world has now passed away? Yeah, 100%. Like, it's crazy, but and I've I can't accept reality. It hasn't hit yet. Still, I don't think don't get me wrong. I've had a cry. I've processed some of it, but I don't think I've fully processed what's happened, and I don't think I almost want to let myself process it, because I think it would throw me off track completely, because you have to understand that this dog was like a real family member to me, and that, like, having a pretty broken family life in general, this dog was there from when I was 8 years old to now 22 years old, and he was my therapy. He was the only person that I was always with, the only person I could ever go to that wouldn't judge, that was just like this, just like dog of just pureness, like just completely pure. And it was always like me and him, right? He was like my son, my brother, my sidekick, right? And the fact that this Christmas, like, I literally had to mind him on my own, and he was super sick, and I was cleaning up vomit and piss, and like, he just completely took a turn. Like, 1 minute last week he's completely fine, all of a sudden just downhill really fast. And then the fact, like, he literally just dies in my arms 2 days after Christmas, just in the house, and then I have to take his body to the vets and all this shit. Like, I had to deal with all that shit. And like, but people don't say this stuff on social media. People don't like get this vulnerable, but this is just the reality of the situation. Like, if Christmas was shit for you this year, okay, like, that's fine, but like, why are you going to dwell on it? There's nothing you can do about it. It's done. Like, that's all you can do is just you've got to become your own best friend. You've got to become very mentally resilient, because I could let this situation eat me up, but I like to just analyze my emotions. Why am I thinking this way? Why am I feeling this way? Like, and like, you can't control the uncontrollables, right? Like, dying is inevitable. Like, I played with the thought in my mind that one day he is going to pass away, and it's going to be fucking the worst day ever, but it's uncontrollable. I can't do anything. All I can do is control the controllables. So, maybe he's gone at a time in my life where he just understands now it's time for me to fly and succeed on my own, because, dogs are like having a child. It is like almost like you do have some type of chains on you when you have an animal, where it ties you down. If I want to travel, I have to think, who can mind my dog? If I want to go out, I can't go out for too long because I got to leave my dog. Do you know what I mean? But like, don't get me wrong, I would do anything. I'd trade all the money I got right now to have him back in my life, 100%. I would trade everything. I'd give up the house. I'd do everything just to have my dog back for a week or a month, right? But the reality is, you can't control the uncontrollables, and you've just got to get on with it and do the best you can with that situation. And, what would my dog think if I just gave up, like, and just did nothing and dwelled on it? And that was the defining point of my life, was my dog dying. That was it. I just gave up from that point on. It doesn't do anything for anyone. Not my dog, not me, not my family. So you've just got to get on with it and just realize you can't control the uncontrollables, but you can control how you react to the uncontrollables and how you emotionally react to them. So that's what I did. And, it's now Jan 1st. Don't get me wrong, I'm fucking still, like, it doesn't feel real, but there's nothing I can do about it. So, yeah, you know, it is what it is, right? But, yeah, I'm gonna fucking, this is the longest I've ever taken to make a coffee. So I'm just deep in thought right now. But, yeah. So this is my second coffee of the day. This morning I had a quadruple espresso. I usually only have a double espresso in the mornings. But this morning I had a quadruple just because I felt like it, and I had a mentorship call like not long after I woke up, like 3 hours. So I was like, yeah, let me just have a quadruple espresso, which I never really do. I usually have a double, and that's all I have for the day. But I want to experiment with what happens if I have like a quadruple and a double, and I want to see if it affects anything like energy-wise, and I don't know. I think caffeine is like almost like a super drug, so I see like quite a lot of people like drinking tons of it, and I just want to see what happens if I have a quadruple in the morning. But I do feel more away. Like I feel more deep in thought since I've had a quadruple espresso at the start of the day. Maybe I was just getting used to a double espresso where it didn't have an impact because I've like almost placeboed. Not placeboed, I've almost like plateaued. And now I need a quadruple to feel the same effects. But, you know, we'll see what happens. Now I'm having a double, then I'm going to go and do some work. That's a good coffee. That's my shit. But yeah, we be drinking a lot of raw milk as well. So this morning I had a raw milk latte, four espresso shots. But yeah, I'm waiting for my I've got like a sick poster coming back. It's like a Pikachu Louis Vuitton poster that I ordered ages ago. It still hasn't come back. I'm also waiting for a Segway to come back, like a little hoverboard Segway, because this house is honestly too big to walk around and I've had enough already. So I just want to Segway from room to room. It's not the fact that the exercise, it's the fact that like if you go in the living room from the kitchen and you just realize you forgot something from the kitchen, you've got to go back to the kitchen, go back to the living room. And the amount of times I've got something in the kitchen and forgot where I wanted to get, gone back into the living room, forgot, gone back in the kitchen, gone back in the living room. And then if you want to go from one end of the house to the other end of the house, to like the creative music / room, oh my God. If you forget something, it's a trek. So I just want to start segwaying around the place because I'm lazy. Actually, I'm not going to say that. I'm not lazy. I just like efficiency. Definitely not a lazy person. I just like efficiency. So Segway seems the most efficient use of time because we've been doing like 9,000 steps in this house alone every day, just walking back and forth the house, which is fucking crazy. Sometimes I just run from room to room as well because it's more efficient. Like, no joke, I'll literally just run, like, which is mad. It's absolutely hammering down as well. There's been terrible storms here in the UK, at least where I'm at. Coffee done in the OnlyFans mug. Now it's time to get to work. What's going on?
Not much, mate.
What are we doing now?
Just doing some balloons, but for the gals, and some new social media scheduling.
The Canva template's quite sick to be fair.
Yeah, they're right, like, you know.
How was our little fucking superstar doing that? What she made in the new year today?
Ooh, 7.8k for the day so far.
What's that work out to if we do that every day? That's solid hours.
I don't about like 200 okay, but
Yeah,
I think it's New Year's.
yeah, she's a fucking graft though, to be fair.
Yeah, she's had some solid growth.
But she is a little gem as well, to be fair. She's not exactly the most ugly looking girl in the world, is she?
Nah, exactly.
And the chat has rinsed some people on New Year's, didn't they?
Yeah.
Dropping some New Year's riz.
Some New Year's lonely motherfucker riz, like.
Tip me for the New Year type riz. Bro, tip me for the New Year riz. If you didn't do tip me for the New Year riz, you missed out on some serious bread. Look at this shit. Made 7K today on some tip me for the new year is. Look at this shit. Tip me for the New Year's is. Crazy. What's going on? Where's everyone at? Joseph, how we doing, brother?
We're doing good, mate. Currently in Italy at the minute. We fucking me and my boy decided to drive down here.
Drove to Italy to do.
Yeah, we was just in it's like in Wales and that's just fucking we was just pissing down. We was just like I just wanted a new end of year strong with like a nice like an apartment in Italy. It's like 20 degrees. There's that mindset, do you know what I mean? Of just like that balance mindset as well. So just yeah, there's a nice way to end the year, mate. New Year's is mad over here as well.
Yeah, that's sick.
Finn, what's good, bro?
How's it going, mate? Did you have a good New Year?
Yeah, it was good, man. It was good. Yourself?
Good. Yeah, chilled, mate. Just sat here by the computer. So not much at all. It was, pardon?
Start as we mean to go on.
Exactly that, mate. Exactly that. It was just a quick one. So me and Jesse are in the process of, we've got 3 models on now. One earning about £5 a month, one earning 15, and one earning about 50. We're looking to expand.
It's obviously Q1, so I would strongly advise and suggest that every single person in here does like a pre-mortem, like a really in-depth pre-mortem. Like get with every single person on your team. Doesn't matter like who they are. Like it doesn't matter if they play like a very insignificant role. Like get with everyone, get your ideas together. You know, because there might be people in your team where they feel like something's holding them back, but you think everything's running smoothly because you haven't spoke to them and you don't know that this specific thing's holding them back or they need this in specific from you. So like you want to get with everyone and just do a pre-mortem, like just go through the pre-mortem training again, and just like do a massive pre-mortem with your team, figure out like all the inefficiencies you've got, figure out like everything that could possibly go wrong. What is your specific goals for your agency? How are you actually going to get it? And then list every single thing that once you've found all the inefficiencies, these are what the current inefficiencies are. Boom, you've got all the list of inefficiencies. Now, what are all the problems that we are currently facing? What are all the problems that we could face? What are all the solutions to the problems we're facing now? What are all the solutions to the problems we could face? And then, you know, like how can we make it unreasonable for us not to succeed? Like what do we have to do day in, day out that would make it unreasonable for us not to hit this goal or hit this milestone? So, you know, let's just say, you know, I want to make 100K a month for my agency. So I need my daily non-negotiables first. So I need to be doing at least 150 outreaches a day, utilizing X pages. I need to be doing at least 2 posts a day for clients. I need to be doing daily call to actions on all our IG stories. I need to reach out to a minimum of 10 influencers. Like those could be the daily non-negotiables, but then you have to have your list of like what would make it unreasonable for the business not to succeed. So, you know, solve constraints, use the theory of constraints to grow and scale. Don't try and solve all problems at once. Once you've listed out all the problems, you've done a pre-mortem. What's the biggest problem that you're facing right now? Solve that first before you try and solve anything else. Once you've solved that, then solve for the next one. And that's how you're going to grow using the theory of constraints. And then also, once you've solved all the current problems you're having, that's when you want to start to solve for future problems that could arise. So, you know, you're going good, everything's flowing, life's good. You're obviously going to have loads of ups and downs in business. You're going to be at the peaks, you're going to be at the lows, you're going to be at the peaks and at the lows. When you're at the peaks, that's when you want to be solving for like, what are the things that could go wrong if like we get to, like it's all good, well and good saying, right, I want to get to 100K a month profit, but if I was to just give you everything right now to get to 100K a month, you wouldn't have a clue like what to do or how to get it, and you'd inevitably run into tons of issues. Let's just say, you know, you wanted to get to 100K a month and you've only ever worked with 1 model, and I just go and now give you 10 models. You could get to 100K a month with those 10 models, but you're not going to have a clue how to, because you haven't got any systems in place. Your team's not big enough. You're going to run into all these issues. So you want to do pre-mortems for Q1. You want to set a Q1 goal, exactly where you want to get to in Q1, and then every single thing that could come up, all the inefficiencies that you currently have, all the problems you currently have, all the problems that you're going to have and going to face at each milestone. You want to really think as in-depth as possible, like literally every detail. Like the more detailed your pre-mortem is, the better that you're going to do, the easier it's going to be to solve for constraints. and you just want to list out everything that you need to do that would make it unreasonable for you not to succeed. And then if you hit every single thing within Q1, then you should hit your goal. But if you've got the list of stuff and at the end of Q1 you've realized you've been slacking and you haven't done the daily check-ins with your chatters, you haven't done the minimum of 1 weekly meetings with your clients, you haven't solved for constraints because you've been trying to solve marketing and chatting at the same time when you should have just solved marketing first. Once you solve marketing, you should have solved chatting. If you realize at the end of quarter one, oh fuck, like we've not hit our goal, and you look at what you did in your pre-mortem, then that's a learning lesson in itself. Like, don't be mad, that's just how you're going to learn. And then you're going to be like, right, Q2, I'm going to do another pre-mortem, but this time I'm actually going to do every single thing that I say. And that's like ultimately like how you want to set yourself up for like success and make it unreasonable that you don't succeed in the first quarter of the year, is just to do that and make sure you stick to it, and like really take like a good few days and just work on the pre-mortem and just like get everything you could possibly get, every failure scenario that you could possibly face, every failure scenario you've already faced and how you solve for that, because you might hit the same failure scenario again, and then everything you could potentially do. Like, you just want to think of everything you can possibly think of and figure it all out. Like, you want to like predict, you want to track historically to predict the future, right? So look at everything that's currently happened in your business, everything that's gone wrong, figure out all the solutions today, make trainings around them, do everything you possibly can, figure out what's going to go wrong, and then that's pretty much how you do it. And just go over the pre-mortem training again, and like really just leverage that, because that's how you're going to create. Like, you might think, oh, you don't want to take time off the business to do something like this, but this is probably like the most important thing you could possibly do, because if you don't do this, your business is never going to get to the stage you want. Like, you need to do pre-mortems every single quarter, not just a half-assed pre-mortem. Like, you need to really audit and rip your business apart and like get real with yourself on like what you need to do, because everyone knows the answers of what they should be doing. Everyone really knows how to solve problems if you think on it hard enough, but most people are not willing to do the actions that it takes to actually solve those problems and get to where they want, or they never make it clear. So even though they might roughly know, if this problem comes up, we're going to solve it, if you actually document it and if you actually prepare for that first, when it does come up, you're going to be able to solve it like that, rather than taking a week to solve it. You might solve it in an hour or in a day. So like, you always want to be prepared for that, which is why doing a pre-mortem is just going to be super key. And you never just want to the biggest mistake I made, I think, in business was just taking everything like almost like day by day, and just taking everything as there is, and never really strategizing, never really planning, never really like taking my time to think about what could happen, think about all the problems that I could face. I would just take it day by day. If a big problem would come up, I would just face it on that day head on and prepared. Whereas now I'm like, right, I'm thinking 4 months ahead, this is everything that's going to happen in the next 4 months in Q1. This is everything I need to do to make sure this doesn't happen, blah, 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 blah. And I just like really meticulously plan out. Like, it takes like a week of probably 4 hours a day for us to do a really solid pre-mortem. Like, every single day for a week, like 7 days, 4 hours a day, where like I'm jumping on Zooms with every single person in my team, like just quizzing everyone, figuring out all the solutions, getting everyone to come up with all their own problems that we could face, and like really getting them to think on it, and then coming together, masterminding together, and then creating this like mad document of like inefficiencies like that we currently got, inefficiencies we could have, how to solve for inefficiencies, like all these different things, and then what would make it unreasonable for us not to succeed, and what are all the failure scenarios for the agency, what are all the client failure scenarios, like not just thinking of your agency, like pre-mortems for your clients as well, like what are all the client failure scenarios, like if my model doesn't do this, then we're also not going to hit this. So you can have all your agency pre-mortem, and you could hit everything perfectly on your agency pre-mortem, but if you don't think about your clients, which run your business, then you've missed this key part, because okay, great, you've got to the end of Q1, you've done everything that would make it unreasonable for you not to succeed, but you forgot about the client side of the business, and you're at the end of Q1 and you're thinking, why didn't we hit 100K a month when we've done everything possible? Well, it's because you didn't look at what your clients are also doing. So like, you need to do a whole entire pre-mortem, an entire business audit, and just like meticulously plan and strategize for the Q1, and you want to do that every single quarter as long as you're in business, because that's ultimately like that's honestly like the best piece of advice I've ever had from anyone is premortems. Like once I learned that concept, it changed my business like mad.
My question was, you basically answered it, but it was about my mindset. Like I'm really struggling at the moment, like with my mindset, like distractions and just stupid things. But you basically explained it. But is there anything else you could add on top to like help? I know obviously I need to help myself, but is there anything else?
Like, what's your day to day look like? Like realistically, like don't sugarcoat it. Like otherwise I'm not gonna be able to help you. Like what have you done for the last week?
Last week I wake up, go gym, just have my food, my breakfast, whatever, and then I do a bit of mindset. I'm not focusing too much on the like actual learning side of things right now. I'm trying to work on my mind.
Okay, what reason would you say that you're trying to work on your mind?
Like, is in discipline. Like, I can't find like that. I'm really struggling with discipline, like really bad.
Okay, and do you think your environment can dictate that a little bit?
Yeah.
War in your environment, do you think is like potentially like distracting you?
Like my thoughts, like I'm always thinking about other people, what they're gonna think about this, what they're gonna think about that, that type of thing.
Yeah, so in terms of like other people, like how I think about this is like how I got over the fact that like I didn't care about what anyone thought, because I think everyone truly does care some more about what everyone thinks. I think like we are just like we're human. That is human nature. Like it's everyone sort of like it's all about social status. Everyone sort of cares what others think and this kind of thing. But how I like truly think I got over that to a massive level was just like everyone who has an opinion about you are gonna die, and the moment that they die, their opinion doesn't matter, or the moment that you die, their opinion just doesn't matter either. So like, why are you living for people's opinions when the moment they die, like their opinions of you die, or the moment you die, their opinions of you die? So it's like you're living for people's opinions that literally do not matter, because they stop mattering the moment you die, the moment that they die. So like it doesn't make a difference. Like regardless of what you do, and then like you like, as to my knowledge, we only have this one life. So I think it's it's very hard to live if you're constantly thinking about what other people will do, because like I said, their opinions are going to die the same moment that you die or the same moment they die. So it really doesn't matter regardless. But like in terms of like the discipline aspect, like I would just really start stacking up those small wins. Like I said, like that's the easiest way to get disciplined. I wouldn't get caught, like if you feel like I really can't be asked to do it, just know, like have a little trigger in your mind, like when you feel like I really can't be asked to do it, that's when you know you need to jump and just do it. And even if you don't do like a good job, or you don't do like the amount you thought you should do, like just class that as a win. And like what I used to do, I used to write winning streak on my hand. Like I used to write winning streak on my hand, and then every single thing I would do, I'd be like, winning streak, I'm on a winning streak, I'm on a winning streak, I'm on a winning streak. Like if I make a cup of coffee, I'm on a winning streak. If I go and do 30 minutes of work, I'm on a winning streak. If I like literally, I would just plan, like my entire day would just be like winning. And I would always have winning streak on my hand, because it then that would always remind me of like, I'm on a winning streak. Let me, do this. Now I'm on a winning streak. I've done this. I've made my bed this morning. Winning streak. Like all these little things that don't really like do anything actually do something massive to like your inner dialogue. So like right now, like you're probably in a position where your self-talk is probably negative. Like you think you should be doing this thing, but you're not doing it. You feel like you're not disciplined. Like you're probably having like internal conflict where you're sort of like battling with yourself. And that's like part of the process. That's like the normal start. Like I started the same way. So I think like not being too harsh on yourself is like going to be key. And like you don't have to move as fast as everyone else. You don't have to like compare yourself. Just the fact that you're on this journey in general is like a big start. And like most people never even take the action, or never even take the leap to even start this journey. So I think knowing that it's going to be really difficult, like mentally, emotionally, like physically, like it's going to be difficult regardless. But as long as you just like chip away, like even if you're only doing like half hour a day, some people never even do that first half hour, right? Like some people never even get started. So the fact that you've started, you're already ahead of all these other people. And I know by like social media, it might seem that you're not ahead because everyone on social media is posting the highlight reel of their life, and most of it's fake. Like legit, most of it's fake. Like everyone's posting their highlights, and you're sat there probably like in your room, like fuck, like there's a 20-year-old that's making millions, at least so you think, and like I'm only doing this, but that shouldn't matter whatsoever because you're on a complete separate journey to them, and you need to go in with a mindset of like, right, I'm gonna just chip away at this for the next 10 years, like think super long term about everything. Like if I do an hour a day for 10 years, in 10 years, it would be unreasonable that I wouldn't succeed. If I do something every day for 10 years, at the end of those 10 years, you're guaranteed to succeed. You're gonna be making most money than the majority of people. So I think that's the biggest thing, because a lot of people are like, right, I did this thing, or I started doing this thing because I wanted to make instant money fast, because I see everyone making instant money fast, and I didn't make instant money fast, and now I feel like shit. It didn't work out, when in reality it doesn't work out. Like I didn't make money for the first 3 years. I just kept going, chipped away. Everyone was like, oh, don't you think it's like, even after the first couple of months, like you have to think when you're in a regular job, you instantly get a paycheck every week, right? Whereas like when you decide to be an entrepreneur, you might not get a paycheck for 3 years. So your family and friends are always like, oh, how's the entrepreneur thing working out? Like, oh, you still, like when's the money coming in? Like it's been 3 months. So you're like, they have to realize that, right, you haven't, ma'am, it might take 3 years before I make any money, but just know at that 3-year point, I'm gonna be making more money than you've probably ever made in your life. Like that's exactly how it worked out for me. Like my friends and family for 3 years, while I was trying a bunch of different things and failing, but learning skills and kept being consistent and doubting myself, thinking I might just give up. And all my friends and family was like especially after the 2-year mark, I was getting hammered. Like my parents, like I was staying literally with my mom, and like my grandparents, everyone was like, don't you think it's time to give this stuff up now? It's been 2 years, you've not made any money. Like, don't you think it's time to just go and get a normal job? And I was just completely naive and completely delusional to think that it was going to work. And I think you have to be naive, and I think you have to be delusional. And if that's the case, you know, and then I remember on that 3rd year when I made like my first bit of money, and I was like, Mom, I made fucking 10 grand this month. She's like, how the fuck do you make that? And then next month's like, Mom, I made 20 grand. And then all of a sudden they're like, what the fuck? And then all your friends and family, instead of being like, when are you going to get a job? They're like, show me how to do it. How do I do that then? How do I make money? And you're like they think that you've just made it quick. Like, but in reality, it's taken 3 years, and you can't tell them how to make money because, okay, Matt, like the reality is, if you want to do what I've just done, you need to go through this journey for 3 years. And then most people are not willing to make that sacrifice. That's why most people quit, because you have to be willing to not see any results for 3 to 5 years. Like that's the trade-off. If you can think in that mindset of, right, I'm gonna just graft at this for 3 to 5 years, and I have to be just, regardless of what happens, if I gotta go and work in McDonald's to make money, wherever I've got to do to get by for those 3 to 5 years, as long as I do something every day that's bettering myself, that's working on a business, that's learning skills, that's leveling me up, it would make it unreasonable at the end of those 3 to 5 years that I don't succeed. So like you have to think in that mindset, because otherwise you're just gonna get caught in the trap of like trying a bunch of new things and trying to make fast money when it's not about money. Like it's not about money. People don't realize that. Like it's not about making money. Like you only make money once you almost like people love money, but you don't want to love money. You want to respect money and respect what money can do for you. And like in that scenario, that means that you need to just be willing to not make anything for 3 to 5 years, for in those 3 to 5 years, make a ton of money and start, then that's when, again, it takes like hundreds and hundreds of days of work behind the scenes to become an overnight success. That's what it looks like to everyone else, right? And that's like the journey for everyone. Every entrepreneur I speak to, that's how it played out for me, that's how it played out for them. And everyone just sees the success because of social media, but no one sees like where it took. And like you don't really have a path, right? Because you're on the path, you're on the road less traveled. You don't really have a path of like, this is exactly what I need to do day in, day out. There's no secret to success. Everyone always thinks, like all the people that haven't made it seem to think that like people in my position or people above me are holding some type of secret, but there's no secret. It's literally just like, you've just got to do something every single day over a long enough time horizon and they will work out. Like, that's it. And you've got to be naive enough to think that it will work out as long as you stick to the path. But if you're not willing to stick to the path for 3 to 5 years and seen like barely any results monetarily, you will see results mentally, you will see results like, but other than that, like, you've just got to be willing to like eat shit for those years. And that's like sort of how it plays out for the majority of people. Like, you do get those people that, you know, somehow are just on a different path where they might do business for 6 months or a month and they've never done anything before, and somehow within 6 months or in their first year of business they make in 10 grand, 20, 30 grand a month. But you have to realize that those are like very rare scenarios, but you see it everywhere on social media. But like, if you just think of everyone in your local town, everyone in your local area, like, none of those people are making it, and you're ahead of all of them just by starting. So like, that's the biggest thing, is just having that mindset. That was a long-winded answer, but the stacking wins is going to be the most important thing, to like get you back up to scratch. Like, the little things, like, start building up small. Start doing like, just do a half hour of something a day. Like, just do a half hour of the program a day and take notes, and then the next day do an hour, and then the next day do an hour and a half, and then the next day do an hour and a half and do something else and actually take action. But the best way is just going to be taking action now. Like, just, you're going to be able to learn from your mistakes better than anything else. So like, just do shit and then expect to fail. And you want to always think of your first attempt at everything as like the rough draft. Like, right, if I, like, when I started OnlyFans Management, I didn't have a program, I couldn't learn from anyone's mistakes. I literally just had to just go and throw a bunch of shit at a wall and see if it would stick, and just test it, knowing that this first draft is going to be ugly. I'm going to fail. I'm probably going to fuck my first couple of clients up and lose them as clients. Like, but that's the rough draft. And from that rough draft, I've learned from that rough draft, and now I can make that rough draft a little bit better. And then after about the 5th, 6th attempt, I'll start to have more of like a final draft that's edited, that's actually now like looking really good, and now I can start to like really make money and implement on the stuff that I've learned from. And that's like how I think about everything.
So what do you think, is going off a little bit, but what do you think, like, with talking to family members? Like, I've noticed, because I'm so in my head, like, I really want to make it, I want to make money, blah blah blah. Like, I hardly think of anything else. So when I'm speaking to them, like, they ask me about, I don't know, something normal like football or something, and I just won't care. So like, and then I'll explain to them like about OnlyFans or trading or some crypto or something, and then they'll say like, ah, well, why are you talking about that again? Or they'll say them people are scammers or this and that. Like, how do I avoid? How could I maybe like change how I talk to them so it doesn't wind me up?
It would come down to having a conversation of like, look, this is what I want to do, and this is what I'm going to do regardless. I just want you to know it, like, regardless of what you say, regardless of like what happens in the next 3 to 5 years, this is what I'm going to pursue. This is what I really want to do. This is what I feel like I was put on this earth for. And I just want to know whether you're able to support me while I do this, or not support me. And I just want to know either or, because there's no in between. Because I'm, regardless of what you say or do, I have to be selfish in this scenario. Look, I love you. This is nothing to do with this is not to do with our relationship, but I need to do this for myself. And for me to do this for myself, I can't have you like almost being negative about what I'm doing, because if this is going to work, I need you to be on my team or against me. And I need either or, so I know exactly where I'm at. Because if you're against me and you don't support it, then that's fine. I'm just not going to bring it up, and I'm just going to do my own thing. If you are support me, please support me. Please don't, you know, be negative, because this will work out as long as I do it. And you've got to, and once you have that you've got to have that. It's a hard conversation to have, but you've got to have that conversation. And once you have that conversation, you'll know exactly like who's on your team, who's not, and it doesn't matter who's there or who's not. Because you've already decided that this is what you need to do anyway to have the future that you want. And then just the best feeling in the world is once you do actually make it, that's when those people realize like, oh, what the fuck, like that's crazy, like it's the best feeling in the world where now all of a sudden they're like on your team. So like, it's just, I would just like really eliminate anyone that, like, have that conversation with every single person you need to have that conversation with, all your friends, all your family that you speak to, and then whoever's on your team, whoever's not on your team, figure that out. Once you figure that out, just honestly cut the people that are not on your team and use them as motivation to prove them wrong. Like I did it, like my ex-girlfriend's parents, they hated what I did. Like when I quit my job, they used to call me stupid, and like they were like, I can't, like they didn't want me with their daughter because now I was like a fucking brokey and all this shit. And like her dad hated me because of it, because I quit a stable, good pay job. And I was like, you know, fuck this guy. And I used him as motivation for like 2 years, like really anger-filled motivation, and it did work. And once I made it, it was like the sweetest like revenge ever. But now I'm just over it and I don't care. But like I would use that as motivation. But like figuring out who's on your team at the start, who's not, is going to be key. And just having that conversation with them is going to be key, because, and even explaining like, you know, this entrepreneur thing is like, it's not something that works out instantly. Like I could be doing this for 3 to 5 years and making no money, but it will pay off eventually if I stick to it. So like, you know, with a job, okay, great, you get paid the next week that you start, or you get paid the month after you start. That's not going to be the case here, and I just need to play this long-term game for myself. And if I fail at those 5 years, ma'am, then okay, that's fair. I failed, and I can just go and get a job anyway, like every other person. Because, you know, my worst case scenario is everyone's everyday scenario. It's not like a job's out the question. I could always go and get it if I fail. But I've said to myself, for me to be happy, for me to feel fulfilled in life, and for me to like just give this my all, I need to try this for 3 to 5 years. And regardless of what happens at the end of those 3 to 5 years, then I'll make another decision. But like I've already told myself, this is what I want to do. This is what I feel like I'm meant to do. So you can either support me or you can be against me. But regardless, I'm doing it. And that's like that's the exact conversation you need to have. And then you'll know exactly where you're at. You'll have a lot more clarity, and you'll have a lot more motivation. And that's like how I would go about it.
Yeah, thanks for that, Dil. It's just one last question.
Yeah.
What would you say is the best way to like, when a friend's asking me to do something that I don't really want to do, how could I just get out of it? Like sometimes obviously it's easy to say no, but then I'll say no and I'll just feel really bad. I'll have this like feeling that I don't like.
Yeah, you can't feel bad. Like you've got to be selfish. Like you really have. You've got to do what's best for you, and you are gonna lose friends. That's the harsh reality. It's fucking lonely getting to the top. It's a lonely road. Everyone's going down the road that's, you know, well lit, that's got signs, got directions. They know exactly where they're going. They know exactly where they're going to end up. They know they're going to retire with 2 kids and making 50 grand a year. Whereas you're going down the road less traveled, which means you're going to lose friends. You're driving on your own. There's no fucking Tesla autopilot. You're literally hitting potholes. You're literally swerving. You're going across crazy bends. The sat nav doesn't work. The navigation equipment doesn't work. You have no idea where you're fucking going. And you're just going down this dark ass lonely road. And at the end of it, there's a super bright light, but it's probably not what you expected. But you've got to stick on that road to get to the bright light. And therefore, you're going to lose friends. You're going to lose family members that you thought were like the best people ever. But a lot of reality is people don't like to be reminded of what they gave up on. Like the reality is every single person on the planet has some type of dream and aspiration, but they like to make excuses to not go and get it. So for example, it comes back to what you said, when your family members are saying like, oh, all those entrepreneurs online are scammers. They have to say and believe, that's their own belief. You can't argue with that because they believe it, and they're not knowledgeable enough to question their own beliefs, because they have to believe that for their sanity, because otherwise they pretty much saying to themselves, like they want to negate that, because otherwise they're saying to themselves that I gave up, and no one wants to say I gave up and I failed and I didn't try at my dreams. So they have to like give themselves a little cookie cutter bullshit to be like, oh no, they're all scammers, it can't work, you can't make money, it's not real, it's all a load of bullshit. But that's completely false, and they're living in a false reality. So as long as you know that's not a reality, then you're good regardless. But you've got to get selfish. I cut off pretty much all my friends when they'd ask me to do stuff. I'd just say, look, like I had the same conversation I told you to have your appearance with all my friends. It's like, guys, this is what I'm going to do. Please don't ask me to come out on Fridays. Like, I'm just letting you know now so I don't disappoint you. Like, if we were going out Fridays, don't ask me to come out Fridays because I'm not going to be there. This is what I want to do. I hope you guys really support me. If you do, then great. You know, we can hang out wherever when the time comes. But this is what I want to do for the next X amount of time. I, really don't want to be asked to go out. I don't want any temptations. Please just respect that. And I'll see where I get to, blah, blah, blah. And like, I have that question. If they still ask you to come out, likely they're not respecting of you. And if they're dicks about it, then again, you don't want to be around those people anyway. So you just need to cut them off. Like, I cut so many friends. I had quite a big friend group. Believe it or not, I was actually like pretty like popular in school. Like I would say I was a part of like the popular kids. I cut all those people, and I think the majority of those people hate and resent me right now because they feel like I just dropped them. But in reality, I really don't care because they've not changed at all, and they still dwell on the past, and they still think that like past memories dictate the present and the future. Whereas like I'm just like a complete different person. So like even the people that like still support me that were in my old friend group, like I still love those people to bits, but we're just not on the same wavelength because the reality is like I change as a person every 6 months because I'm always focused on getting better, whereas they've been the same since 16 years old, and they just assume because they've never changed, they just think I'm still the same person, but they don't realize it. So we just don't fit in, we just don't get on like we would when we were 16. And I respect and appreciate all the memories we had, but I've got to move on if I really want what's best for me. And like I appreciate them for all the great memories. I love them as people, as human beings, but we're just not meant to be on this journey together. We're not meant to be on the same wavelength. Therefore, I've got to cut you off and move on. And you'll eventually, as you grow, get into different friend groups and meet different people on the way up. But when you're on the way up, there's a very lonely stage where you don't fit in with your old friend group because you've leveled up a little bit in terms of mental, but you also are not good enough, you're not skilled enough, and you don't have the like mental awareness to fit into a higher quality friend group. So you're like in this middle ground for a long time where you just gotta be like your own best friend, and that's where like all the learning comes. And that's where you end up becoming like the best version of yourself and eventually fit into that new friend group. You start connecting with other entrepreneurs, other like-minded people, and that's when you really start to prosper. But there's that time period where you've kind of got, that you're in now, where you kind of just got to draw a line in the sand and really get serious with yourself and say, if I'm really serious about wanting to be the black sheep in my family, if I'm really serious about wanting to change my family's financial future for generations, I want to be the person that breaks the generational curses that were put on me, I need to draw a line in the sand and step over that line and become that person. And to become that person, I've got to cut off all the external bullshit and just focus on me and be selfish as fuck. But have that conversation openly with everyone. Like, you don't want to just go and be selfish and just look like a cunt. You want to have that conversation with everyone you care about, exactly the way I said, and then go from there. So you can't even notice it, to be fair. Everyone's going to start doing this now because you literally can't even tell you're wearing a mic. And I bet the audio sounds class as well. That's phenomenal. Wow. Superior category olive oil. Somewhere. We don't use tap water around you. What a song.
And I said, I'll just, give her like an hour or something, like just don't respond. And then he said I almost got caught by this guy. And a fucking fan message saying wave at the camera, and he just left it on red.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, guys, if your creators are going live and you're still chatting while they're live, please stop because you are fumbling the bag massively. Tis not realistic whatsoever.
Especially when they go out drinking as well.
When you go out drinking as well, yeah, that's a fact. You're not going to be fucking replying to OnlyFans DMs you when you're out drinking. Let's keep it real now, guys. We're here to provide an authentic experience to all the simps. Oh, fuck, how much grass have you got? I forgot about that bit.
Oh, I got grass coming up my arse, but...
My network quality is worse than in my fucking old crib.
Oh, I haven't checked.
I had 95% in my old crib. I got 85%.
I had 85 in my house.
Did you?
Yeah.
How much earnings have you got? I got 48k's worth, but
31k.
31k, not bad. I'm trying to get some fucking ends.
At 32.
I need to look through all these appointment setter applications and pick the best couple to train. Let me update this mentorship call to the program first, though. My clients/students are my top priority, so let's get this done first before we do anything else. It's crypto season, and if you're not taking advantage of it, then I would say you're probably missing out on a fuck ton of easy bread. So I'm gonna go and refer myself and farm some grass token. Could it be worth nothing? High probability. Could it be worth something? Of course. Is it worth the risk? Yeah, because there is no risk. You're just farming it for free. So, if we see a true bull, and this project is as solid as it could be, then this stuff that I'm farming for free could be worth a ton of money. So you never know. But you know, we're big into trading shitcoins. We love being degenerates in this end. Made a lot of money trading shitcoins in the past. So crypto season's back. So why wouldn't we do OnlyFans management alongside crypto? Because the money making opportunities, right? So it just makes sense.
What's up, big dog? You put get an angle of under your desk looking at your product.
That's a good one. Because people don't know that like I only wear my top half and I walk around my house naked all day and I work naked. Because like if you're not working naked, you're not optimizing like your focus really, because you work way better naked because so much air gets to your lower body parts.
Yeah.
So when you have more blood flow goes to your brain, and obviously you want your brain because that's where your focus comes from. So yeah.
That's exactly why I'm currently completely naked.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. So it's like so as you can see, like we all work naked usually. I'm just wearing a hoodie today because it's slightly cold, but underneath, completely bollock naked. That's the secret. Like everyone asks the secret. That is, if there is a secret, that is the secret. Like there's no secret of like this is how you get rich fast, or it's just a lot of relentless work over like 3 to 5 years without making any money. But like the real secret is if you work naked throughout that 3 to 5 year period, you can really speed up how much money you make.
Exactly. That's why a lot of these billion-dollar companies are now like pushing to work from home, because a lot of these CEOs just work naked.
Yeah, it gotta be done.
So,
Yeah, a couple of windmills a day as well. Like if you can, if you've got the girth and the length, then throw a couple of windmills because it's like a boost on Mario Kart.
yeah. If not, give it a few flicks. Or
Yeah, a few flicks if it's a bit small and you've not been chosen by the gods.
Yeah. You're pretty much just edging yourself the entire day, really.
Yeah, you just want to constantly be working on edge because that's how you get the most like adrenaline and focus and dopamine in it. Just edge yourself. Yeah.
Keep the hormones running.
Exactly, because we've lost that hunter-gatherer feeling. Do you know what I mean? Like back in the day, we used to have saber-toothed tigers coming after us, so you'd feel like a sense of urgency and adrenaline all day. Whereas now we've lost that, so you've got to just edge yourself and work naked all day. And subscribe to as many OnlyFans creators as possible, and spend as much money because reciprocity. Like you've got to like what we probably spend 10 grand a day on creators.
Yeah, exactly. And it doubles up a lot of research and you see what working scripts are out there.
Exactly. You've got to be a simp to make money from simps because you've got to be able to get into that mindset. So like everyone in our organization that we hire, like Jack's hiring process he's looking for the biggest simps. Like if you've never spent at least $1,000 on OnlyFans, you can't work for us.
Facts. Like you've got to be like the Leonardo DiCaprio of OnlyFans. You need to really invest in the mentality and what's the form of acting that they call this? Method acting. You need to really be in the method acting sort of mentality when it comes to OnlyFans.
Yeah, you have to be a method actor. If you're not method acting, then what are you doing, right? Because it's personal development. You've got to act like it's already happened. There's no good saying I want to make 100K a month. You have to say I am making 100K a month. It's no good saying I want to be a simp. I am a simp. So I strongly encourage everyone to write their morning affirmations, and the top one say, if you run an OnlyFans agency, this only applies to you, but like you should have everywhere in your house little post-it notes saying I am a simp. You want to reaffirm that as much as possible and spend as much money as you can. If you make $2,000 a month, you make sure you go and find an OnlyFans girl and spend it on her.
Yep, facts. Like at least once a week for myself, I'll write it on my forehead and just go out.
Yeah, 100%. You got to. I got shirts and everything, but I don't really like to wear shirts that often. Like it's just a bit frosty today. Yeah. All right, no stress. Well, yeah, good chat anyway. So there you have it. That's how you win. That's the secret to success. Don't say I don't give you any value. Like, do you know what I mean? you could give me value back by liking this video and sharing it with your mom and dad. That would be phenomenal if you could do that. Thank you very much.